Welcome to the Thornton Review.
The show designed with you in mind. If it's important to you, it's important to us.
Larry Downs Jr. is originally from Beaumont, Texas. He's lived in Pensacola since 1987. Larry is a fourth-generation plumber, third-generation master plumber, and successful plumbing business owner. Larry is also a professional referee, former boxer, and MMA fighter. He currently spends time as a coach and mentor for local fighters. Larry loves spending time with his wife and their 3 adult children. He's also a grandfather. Larry is known as a community advocate who speaks at local board meetings, pointing out the obvious. He spent a great deal of time studying government overreach during the COVID-19 pandemic and has interviewed numerous citizens across the county regarding masks and vaccines while encouraging personal accountability. He's the owner and creator of Mission Obvious LLC, a website dedicated to pointing out documented medical propaganda and encouraging people to think for themselves. You can find his website online at www.missionobvious.com. Larry is all about serving and fighting for our community. He's a local advocate for freedom who invented the quote, "You can't have freedom without freedom." Welcome to the Thornton Review. My name is Pueschel Schneier. I'm the executive producer and manager of the Thornton Review. Today we have Larry Downs Jr. in the studio. We're going to talk about government overreach in healthcare, and he and I have both been working toward the same goals to stop the government from forced medication like fluoride in the water and vaccination mandates. We're also going to talk about an important bill that was just passed and our experiences along the way. So, Larry, it's really great to have you on. You were on the show exactly a year ago.
That is awesome.
We didn't plan that. It just so happened.
Yeah.
But I enjoy conversations with you. So please introduce yourself.
Well, I'm Larry Downs Jr. I'm a fourth-generation plumber, and I got a plumbing company here in town. And I also started a website called Mission Obvious, and it's missionobvious.com. And I just started to, I've been speaking out at government meetings for years. I started to watch the government overreaching into my life in 2004, 5, 6. So I started, just basically opening up my mind to the possibilities that we may have too much government. Even though I was told most of my life, little things like I would hear different family members and friends, and I'd be hanging out with people, riding with them, maybe my uncle and their family, and I would hear, they would see something they didn't like, and they'd say, there ought to be a law against that. There ought to be a law against that. Yep. And then fast forward 20 years, there's a law against everything. Yeah. And all of a sudden, I'm like, once you leave, once I left my parents, I felt like I received a new set of parents, a new mommy and daddy, telling me all the things that I can't do or that I have to pay to do. And beg and ask for permission along with a check or cash, which they hardly don't take their own cash anymore. They want checks or cards. Really, just cards now. Digital. That's where we're going, digital currency. So anyways, all of it, I just started wanting to point out the obvious to others who are asleep, and maybe wake them up a little bit.
I've been following you, so I know a lot about what you've been doing, and I thank you for everything that you have been doing. I agree with you on probably pretty much everything that you speak about, and you and I know each other pretty well. We've had quite a few conversations, and we see each other at board meetings. All the board meetings.
All the board meetings, yeah.
And I agree. I can't remember anything that I disagreed with you on.
Well, I try to keep it to where, it's hard to disagree with certain things. I mean, you have to go out of your way because it's so obvious. Yeah. And then I do, even the school board meetings I go to, I'm like, this just seems obvious.
Yeah.
And I
It does.
get parents who will come up to me who even I do work for, and like Lindsay Durchie and Nathaniel Durchie, who sued the school board to keep these, these nonsense books in our school.
Right.
And I'm like, and she's like, Larry, you're a libertarian. How can you be for banning books? I said, I'm not for banning books. I'm for you paying for your child's own screwed up books.
Right.
I don't want to pay for them, and I don't want them for my kids.
Right.
So if they're in the library, oh, well, you can just opt out of them. Yeah, how many parents have the time or the know-how to one opt out? And if their schoolmate right next to them has went in and rented the book or checked it out,
Right.
are you telling me just keep it in your own house, or in your own, in your own families, or go to a public library? But having it in the school's library is wrong. And she couldn't understand. She could not understand that how I could be against these books being in our school because I'm a libertarian. I'm like, I don't think we should be paying for books that indoctrinate or bend the minds of young children.
Absolutely.
Stick to the simple basics, and that's it.
Reading, writing, and math.
Yeah,
I agree.
yeah. So go ahead.
Well, we're going to take a commercial break. And when we come back, we'll continue our discussion with Larry Downs Jr., community advocate. His website is www.missionobvious.com. There is no government-funded program that can guide a man's thoughts. Only God can do that. Company can install any type of fence. When you call and mention the Thornton Review, you'll receive a $100 discount on your fence. They also offer military discounts. Vinyl fence, wood fence, aluminum fence, chain link fence. If it has the word fence, Alpha Fence Company can do it. 850-586-8020. 850-586-8020. Welcome back. Thank you for tuning in. We're going to continue our discussion with Larry Downs Jr. Mission Impossible. What is it? Mission Obvious. MissionObvious.com.
It's almost Mission Impossible. Point out the obvious.
Possibly obvious.
Yeah. But it's missionobvious.com. And I put a lot of the videos on there that aren't allowed on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram and Facebook. Although they're starting to get a little better. They're starting to get a little better. They're starting not to hit me up, censor me so much. Now I'm almost get shocked on Facebook. I'm like, I can't believe I said that, and it's still up a month later.
So you're pointing out what government overreach propaganda regarding the COVID vaccine, and what else regarding only that or something else?
No. Everything. The gender division, the skin tone division, the sexuality division. It's all propagandized by not only our bureaucrats who have ideologies that is cuckoo. It's also by the corporate media, by the corporations. BlackRock, State Street, Vanguard, Blackstone, they own like 80% of the world's assets, or they're controlling them. And they just bought AstraZeneca, AstraZeneca in 2024. I think it's December 2024. They bought a huge shares, 60, 70 thousand shares of AstraZeneca. That was BlackRock, State Street, and Vanguard. Now what? AstraZeneca got pulled from the market of the COVID shots. They got removed right along with Janssen and Johnson and Johnson. Everybody but the big two. I call them the big two, which is Moderna and Pfizer. And the CEO of Pfizer is Albert Bourla. the CEO of Moderna is Stefan Bancel,
Okay.
and they how do they? Well, look, here's a book. This is one of the books that you can find that is very, very insightful. It's called Dissolving Illusions. And this Susan Humphreys, MD, she was on the Joe Rogan podcast.
Okay.
And amazing.
So she's an actual doctor.
She's an actual doctor.
So she's not just somebody with a bunch of opinions.
No, and she puts a lot of the stats from the diseases before the vaccines were made, and every one of them they plummet before the vaccine comes out. And then they run in and mass vaccinate, and they go, look what our polio shot did.
Wow, yeah.
It lowered, well, it had already lowered to nothing. So vaccines do what viruses do what viruses do, which are become weaker.
Right.
They become weaker.
Yeah.
It's just that simple. There's no way that they become stronger, because
we'd all be dead by now.
well, no, and the virus would be dead.
Yeah.
It doesn't want to kill its host. It wants to be it wants to prolong its life, right along with,
because the virus would die if the host died.
So I use these as bookmarks. I use this one here is Walgreens, but I'll use CVS and everything else. The flu and COVID-19 vaccines.
Are they free?
And these are free. You can go in there and just peel off however many you want, and you'll have bookmarks for your vaccine stuff. Now here's another one that is really awesome, and it's called The Needle's Secret. Now see, there's a lot to what I call the corporate chemical injections.
Yeah, well, what's in them?
They're not. Well, I can tell you, there's bovine serum in it. There's swine serum. Bovine's cow. Swine is pig. There's simian serum in it, which is monkeys. Then they have guinea pig.
They grow it on monkey testicles, so of course it's got monkey in it.
And it has canine kidney cells from
It also
Cocker
has
Spaniels.
mercury, thimerosal, formaldehyde,
and it
aborted fetuses. It's got human serum in it.
Yeah, it's human serum. It's called.
Isn't that kind of like cannibalism? I mean, isn't that kind of weird?
Well, it's a DNA.
And do people know that and not care, or do they not believe it? Or?
They don't believe it because the propaganda was so strong.
Because they know, well, they're not going to advertise that it has that. You know?
Even in this here, you'll see the old advertisements whenever the vaccines in the 1870s just first, and they didn't know nothing. Right. And they were putting out, they had men and women at a side of a cliff, like they were jumping off, like because they wouldn't take the vaccine.
Oh wow!
And so they were like committing suicide because they would. That's the type of propaganda. But this here is just some of the package insert sheets, and like this one right here.
Okay, so those are package inserts from vaccines.
For the vaccines, yes.
Okay, so let me ask you this: what made you so interested in vaccines? When did you start getting interested in vaccines?
Well, I never wanted them, so I never wanted vaccines. I turned them all down from the time that I can remember.
Just because you just had a feeling they weren't right, or did you hear?
I just didn't seem right. Even with my own kids, I argued with my wife, and I said, I didn't know this.
Right.
But I just had something in my gut told me.
I did too with my son, and I didn't have to argue with my husband. I just said, we're not getting him vaccinated.
I told
and
my
husband
wife.
Was like, okay, weirdo, we won't, but okay.
And she was dead set on it. And I said, we don't even know what's in it that they're putting in there.
Well, I knew what was in it.
And our kids are going, they're whelped up, they scream, holler. I mean, that just can't be good.
Right.
But they're told and they believe it.
Well,
my wife's educated.
Yeah.
She's educated, college, university educated, which is a thing. The more educated you are from the universities and colleges, the easier it is to be manipulated by your government, by bureaucrats, by the science.
Yeah.
Because you just cannot wrap your logical mind when you've been taught by these people that they would have anything bad for you.
Well, when you're told from a young age that something is is necessary, is needed, that you need it, that it's good,
Yeah.
then, and you don't know anything different, then you're just going to believe
And
it.
then it's
because
reconfirmed in
because you're
college,
told-
in school, and college, and in
you're
universities.
told that you'll get this disease if you don't
Yeah.
get the shot.
Yes.
But you're not told that you're probably not going to just die from this disease. It's no more harmful than getting the common cold.
The measles. I just
Right.
argued with
I
somebody
had the measles
right
when
here.
I was like six
So
months
did I.
old.
Right here on Palafox when they had the hate Trump, hate Elon, and hate Republican rally. Right here, 2
And they're
weeks
like,
ago.
oh, the measles are coming back.
It's on my
It's a big
Facebook,
deal.
Larry Downs Jr. So, anyways, this guy, I'm asking questions, and this guy goes, well, it's just like, look at all the children dying in Texas from the measles. And I said,
Not one has died.
I said, there's been
Like one.
one,
And
technically two if you believe them, but let's just say two. You know how many children there are in Texas? I mean, get real. And was it the measles, or was it from a measles shot or some other shot, or were they already sickly whenever they were born? Or was it that they received shots from birth, and this happens? All right, this is Merck and Company, vaccine manufacturer, and they manufacture other products too. Sometimes good, sometimes bad.
Right.
I'm not saying that they make all bad products.
Right.
So, the MMR2, which is the measles, mumps, and rubella, and this is for children, for babies, 6 months, 18 months, 12 months, 18 months, and they get 3 of these shots right off the rip. So their first 3 years of life, they're getting 3 of these, plus a whole bunch of others.
Right, plus the DPT.
If you go to 13.1, it's the same on each one of them.
They get
Every one of them.
hepatitis, polio, DPT.
All of it.
They get
I got them all right
37
here.
shots before the 3rd grade.
Oh yeah, they'll get 20.
crazy.
No, they'll get 26 shots before 6.
Okay.
At 6.
Yeah.
All right. So if you just go to 13.1 and you read carcinogenesis, mutagenesis, impairment of fertility, MMR2, MMR2 vaccine has not been evaluated for carcinogenic or mutagenic potential or impairment of fertility. Period. Now, how can you look at a little baby and say, but the vaccines are tested? How can you look at your little child and say, we just put something in you to help you, although it says it could be cancerous, it could give you autoimmune diseases, and it could impair your fertility because they haven't evaluated it for that. Now, wouldn't you think? I mean, I get very upset about this because they are injecting chemicals
I get emotional about it
into
too.
little babies,
Yeah, 'cause I just
and
know it's
into
happening.
pregnant mothers.
Yeah.
The babies in the womb, which I know, there's a lot of them who don't believe that's a baby, but we know it's a baby because we believe in science and biology. So, the science and biology says that you're putting something into a mother, you're putting it into the baby.
Oh yeah.
So the RSV, the new RSV, it's new. It's residual something virus. What is it? Syncytial.
It's isn't it a respiratory virus?
Yeah. Same. Most of them are. Most of them are. Some
And
of them
I don't
are
think it lasts very long.
venereal.
Yeah, I want to say David may have had that when he was like in preschool.
Yeah. But,
Preschool kids get
well, to
it.
start with, they act like the propaganda is they're gonna die. But the reality is in this book right
The
here,
reality
you can
is they're not going to die.
1962 or something like that. I think the measles vaccine came out in 64.
Okay.
1962, there were 2 children died supposedly of the measles in like 1962.
And that's why they came out with the vaccine, maybe.
Well, it was higher, and it kept plummeting.
So the measles vaccine,
plummeting,
the measles
plummeting.
virus
Then
was
1964, they come out with the measles vaccine. There was only 2 deaths per million.
Sense.
Well, it didn't change the death rate.
I'm joking. When
I know,
say it
I
makes
know.
sense.
But it didn't change the death rate.
It makes
The
sense.
death
for their
rate
money.
stayed the same. So how could you keep giving something that could be causing not only autism, but also there was never sudden infant death syndrome.
Well,
all of a sudden, it's everywhere. I mean,
Well,
is
somebody's
it
making
because they
money
just
on the
got
shots.
6 shots?
Yeah. It's a combination of environmental.
And then a cumulative effect.
Absolutely. It
And
absolutely
what,
is.
And what about
Does your body synthesize mercury and formaldehyde and thimerosal, or does it just stay in there?
And how about
What does it do?
hexafluorosilicic acid?
Right.
How about you drink that and you bathe that on a little baby who just received 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 shots of corporate chemical
Yeah, because
injections?
it's cumulative. And then diet, and then all the preservatives in the food you're feeding them.
And then
the artificial colors.
what's in the baby food?
Artificial flavor. Well, I don't know about artificial in baby food. I hope they don't have artificial flavors in baby food. But the cereal and the potato chips and the fast food and everything canned and packaged that you're feeding your kids and that you're eating yourself. People need to open their cupboards, open their cabinets, and read on the back of their
You know what they really need to open? Their minds. And start actually looking at what they say.
Looking at what you're putting into your body.
Yeah. Whenever they say follow the science, don't listen to scientists. Look at their work. This is the scientists' work. This is the corporation's work.
It would only make sense that a small child, or even an adult, can only take so many chemicals in their body before it starts to harm them or before it starts to alter something with them in a negative way, because these chemicals clearly are not good. And there is scientific evidence that mercury is not good for you.
Yes.
And thimerosal and formaldehyde. But
they will tell pregnant mothers to take these shots, and then they will tell them not to eat fish.
Because it's got mercury in it. Well, see, that's because it's cumulative. You'd have too much because you got your mercury from your shot. You don't need to get your mercury from your fish.
Oh, yeah.
But if you didn't get the shot, you can eat the fish.
Mm-hmm. And really, where's the evidence? Where's the evidence that any of these shots do anything?
Right.
I mean, the evidence to the contrary is how can we have the most vaccinated population on the planet and the most
highest autism rate
and the highest chronic disease rate?
Yeah, the highest obesity rate.
The highest obesity.
It's our food and it's immunizations, food, environment, water, air. It's everything. It's so you have to open your mind. You have to look at the obvious, and what's obvious is what's on your food package. If you know that something bad is on the food package, don't eat it, don't buy it to begin with. And so I'm wanting to go up to Washington, D.C. and talk to Congress about what's in our food, because it's not even food anymore.
Who owns it? Who owns the food manufacturers now? Most of them.
Well, they probably get government loans, and so they have to put in their food what the government tells them to, and it's industrial waste. Everything that's fortified is fortified with the vitamins that are actually industrial waste from manufacturers, like iron, for instance. Ferrous phosphate, sulfate, whatever, is actually tiny little iron shards. That is from iron factories. It's different than the iron you're going to get from zucchini.
Sure.
Completely different.
Yeah.
Because your body can't break down those little shards.
No.
It's completely
Same
different.
Same with plastics. They can't break it down.
Right.
Microplastics. I mean, there's so many that you could go to, but how come they always, and this is what I try to get people to think. I'm like, how is it that you can talk about the poisons in the food, chemicals in the food? You can talk about chemicals in the water, hexafluorosilicic acid, fluoride, whatever you want to. Chemicals in the air, the where they're raining this stuff down.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Florida just banned the chemtrails.
I've seen that.
Can you believe that?
Yeah.
Or the weather manipulation. Is that what the chemtrails are?
Yes.
The weather manipulation?
Yeah, well, that's some of it. Yeah. And they've been doing it for years.
Why would Florida ban it? Actually, Governor DeSantis signed it into law if it wasn't true.
Yes.
And so many people don't believe it. They think we're crazy. They think we're conspiracy theorists.
They think you're a QAnon or some,
I'm not.
I'm like, who is QAnon? Right. If QAnon asks questions, then I'm that. Right. I'm going to ask questions and you can call it question. Are you question? Yeah, I'm question. But all these things you can talk about pretty much until it comes to vaccines, the corporate chemical injections. They they have done such an excellent job, because I can show
They
this.
really have.
I can show this to people. They have done such an excellent job with the propaganda that they will actually, that people who consider themselves, I mean, even the educated ones, the uneducated,
Right.
the high school graduate, the university,
It doesn't matter how
it
smart you are.
doesn't matter. They're on all levels. They
Yeah.
they have been taught, and they have been conditioned and indoctrinated
Mhm.
to automatically look at somebody who
know.
questions corporate chemical injections, something that they have no clues in it,
Yeah.
as dumb. You know, they look at them as, oh, are you a dummy? You're a dummy. They'll shame and shun people who question.
Right.
But those same people, I ask them, I'll say,
Well, you don't want to get sick, do you? You need the shot.
you need a shot. And then I
If you
tell them,
don't
I
wanna
haven't
get
had any
sick.
shots.
Uh-huh.
I haven't had any shots since the 70s, and whatever there
Right.
was then. I didn't have the measles shot, and I didn't have the chickenpox shot, because I had those things.
Yeah, I had the chicken pox.
That was back when you got something.
Yeah.
Even Fauci. Oh, well, if you've had the flu, you don't need the flu vaccine. And then they changed that to where you need it every year.
The problem with that is there's over like 30 something strains of flu.
Oh, it's more than that.
So how
It's
do you
like
know what you're gonna
100
get?
or 200.
The shot only covers one.
Yeah.
So how
Well,
do you know?
no, it might.
cover
Some of
three.
them are bivalent, so they'll
Okay.
cover 4 or 2 or 4.
Gotcha, yeah.
Quadvalent.
I knew that when I said one. I'm just making
Yeah,
a point.
But even
You have-
so, just like they just had over in they 20, 25 or 40, it was a crazy percentage
Mhm.
of the people who had the flu shot got the flu over in Europe
I believe
this
it.
flu season.
So my mom got the flu shot probably about 15 years ago or so. And 3 days later, she was in Sacred Heart Hospital for 3 weeks with pneumonia.
Well,
It was
You want
in
me to tell you-
2005.
you want me to tell you what somebody who's really indoctrinated and conditioned would
It was in
respond to that?
2008, actually.
They would say,
It's not related.
it's not causation. Correlation doesn't equal causation, Pueschel.
So my dad, I know. So
You know that. Just because 10 people who every time somebody gets a shot they drop dead, that doesn't mean that it has
Right.
anything to do with a shot. Just
No.
because all these kids get autism, we're just better at diagnosing autism now. They will keep coming up with it.
Well, they have such a broad spectrum. Everybody's autistic.
Oh
I mean,
yeah,
their spectrum just keeps getting bigger, and
I'm
they
autistic.
have
That's
different-
why I'm questioning this shit. I mean, oh man, darn it! Can you bleep that out?
will try.
Can you bleep that out? All right, listen. What? Tell me one of the ones you're interested in. I've got the commodity here, which is the COVID one.
Okay.
What do you think it says?
I'm interested in COVID for sure, because that is something that
Okay, I got the commodity and I got the spike vax. So the
Okay.
commodity is by Pfizer. Let's read it first, just real quick. All right, you go to 13.1. It's like copy paste. It's so weird. Carcinogenesis, mutagenesis, impairment of fertility. Commodity has not been evaluated for the potential to cause carcinogenicity, genotoxicity, or impairment of male fertility. Period.
Well, you know what that sounds like to me. If they all say that, it sounds like to me that they are manipulating hormones,
Hold on.
and that has to do with the gigantic explosion of homosexuality and this confusion on gender.
Sure.
Because I think they're manipulating people's hormones
Absolutely.
with these.
There's no
And-
doubt. There's
and
no
I-
way that the
and I think-
testosterone level can drop by 25 to 50% from my generation
Yeah.
to my kids' generation.
Yeah.
It's impossible without something altering it.
So
And it
I
has
know.
to be more than something in the air.
Yeah.
It has to be
think
something
it's-
in a syringe.
I think it is cumulative. I think it's in the cans of food that we're opening, the candy, the artificial
There's
colors,
nothing goes
artificial
into
flavors.
your hormone system
And
quite like
a shot.
liquid in a needle.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's directly. Everything
And
else you might be able to digest and
Yeah.
and get rid of because fecal matter.
There's really no telling. You're so funny. There's really no telling what they're putting in them because they could be putting stuff in them and not even telling us that they're putting it in it. And each batch could have a different
They are.
thing in
I'm
it
glad you said that.
because each batch could have, they're trying to do studies on what this does to a certain population. And so they send these batches out to, maybe this group.
Now you don't. Now you know there's contaminants in them, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's big time contaminants. I got a pharmacist
not,
right here in
it's
town
not clean
who told me
and
he's seen
organic and natural. I know that.
Well, listen, this is the Comirnaty by Pfizer. So I just told you that about impairment.
It's all completely lab created.
Impairment of male fertility. Period. Now that would suggest that it maybe has been tested in females. Would you suggest that?
I don't know.
All right. Well, it says in a developmental toxicity study in rats with Comirnaty encoding the viral spike glycoprotein of SARS-CoV-2 Wuhan HU1 strain original. There were no vaccine-related effects on female fertility in rats. No, not women. Not women.
I just think it's terrible. They need to shut down all the testing labs. They just need to shut them down.
Now here's what it came. This is what the package insert sheet looked for the
That's
Spike.
Weird looking.
Spikevax Moderna. All right, so this is the way you got it. So you have it
that's
here.
different. Looks like it'd be a nap.
It says intentionally blank.
Okay.
So for the first 3 years, almost 3.5 years,
What?
you couldn't get these. I didn't get these till
That was the
2024.
insert?
This was the insert.
And there's nothing on it
This
that
came
intentionally
from
blank?
a pharmacist not too far from here.
What's the point in even putting that in there?
Yeah, it was the same with Comirnaty.
I don't understand. Why is it so big?
Because that's how big it is when it's filled.
Oh, that's weird.
All right, here's it filled. Same one.
Yeah, that's a lot of information.
Okay, now look at here. Now hold on. All right, let's go to 13.1. All right, 13.1. Now, the reason why I wanted to read this one is because you said you don't know, what else is in it.
Right.
All right, carcinogenesis, mutagenesis, impairment of fertility. Spikevax, that's the Moderna COVID shot. Spikevax has not been evaluated for carcinogenic, mutagenic potential, or impairment of male fertility in animals. A developmental toxicity study was conducted in female rats that received a vaccine formulation containing nucleoside modified messenger ribonucleic acid, mRNA, and other ingredients. Now, you know what those other ingredients are?
They're probably not good.
Well, we don't know because
I know, right?
Because they're proprietary.
Oh, it could be anything.
No, it's proprietary, meaning they don't have to tell us.
Well, there you go. There's the proof that they're doing experiments on us.
Included in a single human dose of Spikevax.
They're messing with people's hormones.
No impact on female fertility was reported in the rats. See 8.1. So you go up to 8.1. It's just fascinating. This is not.
But
this is not me. But carcinogenic.
Yeah.
Cancerous. Now, why do y'all?
Mercury probably causes cancer.
Do y'all think that the cancer rates have went up since the COVID shots?
It probably has. Yeah.
It's went up like 3, 4, 5,000%, depending on which. Depending on which agency, or if you go to cancer.org and you look up breast cancer increases, prostate it's going up. It's a crazy amount of going up. I mean, from like 46,000 cases a year in the United States to like 1 million. It's crazy.
I want to talk about fluoride.
Yes.
But we're going to take a commercial break.
Let's do it.
So the Thornton Review is a civic engagement show with a purpose to spread awareness by interviewing local elected officials, candidates, and professional leaders. This is information you won't get anywhere else. You can watch the Thornton Review on our various outlets. Our website, thethorntonreview.com. On Vimeo, please follow the Thornton Review. On YouTube, please subscribe to the Thornton Review at the Thornton Review 7810. Please like our Facebook page, the Thornton Review Show. On TV, WBQP channels 12.1 and 12.8, and WBQP and Roku and Fire Stick. We're going to take a commercial break, and when we come back, we'll continue our discussion with Larry Downs Jr. He's a master plumber, owns his own plumbing business, and the website missionobvious.com. There is no government-funded program that can guide a man's thoughts. Only God can do that. Company can install any type of fence. When you call and mention the Thornton Review, you'll receive a $100 discount on your fence. They also offer military discounts. Vinyl fence, wood fence, aluminum fence, chain link fence. If it has the word fence, Alpha Fence Company can do it. 850-586-8020. 850-586-8020. Thank you for tuning in. We're back with our discussion with Larry Downs Jr., missionobvious.com. So Larry, I want to talk about fluoride, and
Yes.
we're going to get to that. But tell me a little more about what you're involved in.
Well, I also I still train kids, and I say kids, they're basically
So you
15.
you used to be a boxer and an MMA fighter, and so you're
Boxer.
training them.
I even had a couple kickboxing matches also, but boxing, kickboxing, MMA.
Mhm.
And I've been coaching it for years. My kids come up through it. Even my wife had a boxing match at the fairgrounds
Oh
here.
wow!
She was known. She's an educator,
Right.
5th grade. So
Mhm.
she was her fight name was the Terminator Educator.
Oh, I like it. That's
It was
good.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
And but anyways, I've noticed the difference in the past 25 years, and it's like clockwork. I mean, it's like time dated,
Mhm.
where they come in at 13, 15, 20, 25.
Mhm.
Those are my ages that I mostly get. And I can see the level of physical and mental fortitude decreases every year.
Mhm.
You can almost see it yearly,
Mhm.
but you can definitely by 5.
Do you think it's
5
because
years.
kids are so sheltered, though? They've got helicopter parents who are just always babying them and always there doing everything for them. Do you think that could have something to do with it?
No, not
Or
with
is
the
it-
ones that I get.
Mhm.
I'm getting
Okay.
the ones from that
They
maybe
were
have one
abused.
parent. They're in
Okay,
they're
gotcha.
they're on the lower income level.
Gotcha.
Most of them.
Mhm.
So they don't have parents that are really watching them.
Mhm.
They're trying to work, make a living, whatever. So it's really not
So it's the
that.
opposite of what I was thinking.
Yeah,
I wasn't
see?
really thinking that. I'm just
A lot of
giving
people
it.
they will put that. I get that.
Yeah.
But and you're not going to have affluent people want to get punched in the face and learn
Right.
how to punch other people in the face. So you're on the bottom of the economic road generally. I'm not saying all, not all, but the vast majority are poor kids, poor young adults. And I've noticed that their level, they would come in the 1990s, early 2000s, even through 2010, they would come in and they would be stronger. Off the rip. They could do push-ups, they could do pull-ups, and I'm sure the activity in their personal lives were probably more, but I can't help but to think that they have also had way more corporate chemical injections.
Yep.
and the food has become more toxic.
The food's terrible. The food's not even food
The
anymore.
food's terrible. What's going into their system through a chemical needle is terrible. And then everything that they're doing has nothing to do with physical activity. So they go to school and they say, learn, learn, learn. Sit, sit, sit.
Right.
What do they
can't.
do? They give them a
Boys have
30-minute break.
Right. Boys have too much energy.
Boys
to do that.
need to be,
moving around.
through for thousands of years, boys were in the fields.
Yep.
They were either harvesting, hunting, or building
Yep.
all day long.
With their dads.
Now you sit them in a chair all day
And
long.
force them to sit and spank them when they don't.
Yeah, and they shut your mouth and you sit down.
And then give them injections.
And then they send them home and say, do another hour and a half's worth of homework while you're what? Sitting.
Or they give them ADHD medication to make them sit down.
Well, that could be a side effect of all those corporate chemical injections. But I call it the quadfecta.
Right? Yeah.
It's the quadfecta, in my opinion. It's the poisons in the needle, the poisons in the food, the poison in the air, and the poison in the water. That's primarily it. Now you can also go into other.
Totally agree with you on that.
You can go into other stuff too, such as what I call the 3 Ps, which I don't know if I can say here, but it's blank, poor parenting.
Gotcha.
So if you
I
know what the first P is,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
and that can stem also from all of the chemicals.
Kids learn from their parents,
Sure.
and if their parents aren't being good parents,
Yep.
they're not going to be good
Yeah,
kids.
if they're just being terrible parents, which and sometimes it's through what I say is through no fault of their own. Sometimes that's when you're taught something, then the next generation is going to teach the same.
It's perpetual.
So I get people like Ray Gullery who are like, I've had debates with him and others, and
Is he still around?
I don't know. I haven't heard from him since the book ban. Are you for banning books? He was down there at the school board meeting, but he accused me of being born with a silver spoon. And I said, you see the level of your cognitive function is plummeted. I said, it was more like a golden shovel.
There you go. Right.
And if you don't make that shovel sing, you don't get nothing.
Right.
And that's the same thing. I mean, well,
it doesn't matter how you're born, it's your work ethic.
No.
You've got a very strong work ethic. You have a lot of energy, and you have focused it into positive things.
Yes.
And that's what all these young boys who, parents might not be focusing them. And
I push it on them, and even my own sons. I'm like, you've got to do this. And they're like, how'd you do this? How were you able to work all day, come and train us all night, and do all these other things and take us all over?
You're a man, you have energy.
Well, I never had, the testosterone level helps.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if
men are designed
so if something in
to have energy and strength.
Yes.
And if they have it focused in the right direction, they're going to do good things.
Yep.
If they have it focused in the wrong direction, they're going to do bad things because they have energy. They have to release that energy.
But they have to have the energy in the first place, though.
Right.
And I think that's what's happened. Their testosterone levels are 25 to 50% less. If you Google it right now.
Yeah.
They'll say around 25%, but some of them will say 50%. So for sure it's between 25 and 50.
Will they tell you why?
Do you know what that is? They won't tell you why. They won't, but it is that. But can you imagine having the energy to do something after you've worked all day? Well, if you're 25 to 50% less in testosterone, that's what gives you the energy. So now you're done. Now, and then society and our government, and everything else is telling you that, hey, you've worked a whole day. You've worked 8 hours. Yeah. You deserve a rest.
Right.
Says who? Says who? Says our government, and you shouldn't work more than 40 hours a week. Says who? That's the mindset that is happening from too much government, too much corporate chemical injections. I mean, too much. One's too much. And then the poisons in the food, like the Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
Chick-fil-A, that's a dope sandwich.
Yeah.
I love this guy
Well,
who's online. He talks about it.
It's all terrible. The entire process
Over
of fast food
26 chemicals,
is
man-made chemicals in that chicken
atrocious.
sandwich.
And it starts with the way they treat their animals is just atrocious. It's terrible. It's bad.
All of it. All
They
of it.
treat the animals terrible. Well, they inject them with antibiotics
Yeah.
and growth hormones
Uh-huh.
and whatever else they inject them with. Who knows what's in that stuff.
mRNA now
And
going into the pigs.
ugh. And then
And
you're
the
eating
cows.
that. You're eating that, and you're getting injected with it, and you're drinking the water that's got
Yes.
chemicals in it, and you're
Yep.
breathing the air that's
Yep.
got chemicals in it.
And I guarantee you that if you try to bring this up to most
Mhm.
bureaucrats that are in a position to do
They don't
something,
understand.
they will fight it tooth and nail, just like ECUA board members. All of them but Kevin
Mhm.
has fought it tooth and nail.
Mhm.
And I'm like, how can
They-
it not even
they
make y'all
actually
pause?
believe that we need
They believe it.
They believe that we need it,
Yes.
but we don't.
We don't.
And not only do we not need it, I mean, that's yours and mine opinion. You
Yeah.
know, to be honest with you, that's our opinion whether
That's
or not
our
we need it.
opinion.
But what is true is they do not have the constitutional right to give it to us.
No. And
And
to force children or adults even to go into the military, I'm telling these young men, like, tell them that you will volunteer to do your duty to serve, but I'm not volunteering to serving to be corporations' guinea pigs
Right.
for your chemical
Yeah,
injections.
because in the military, they line them up and do it.
Oh,
with
they
the
did
air
it to
gun.
my son.
They don't
and
even do it with the needles. It's an air gun.
No,
that
it's air
shoots
gun. It shoots it in. And not a single one of them. There's no evidence at all. They are lying when they say there's. How can there be evidence when in their own stuff, in their own warnings,
Right.
it says that it hasn't been evaluated for carcinogenic, mutagenic potential, or impairment in fertility. How in the world?
That to me tells you that they probably think that it causes that.
Of course, and they have evaluated it. I would be willing to bet they have, and they said, "Get rid of that. That doesn't support our magic money maker here." But imagine the military to go and serve. You have to submit
Mhm.
to BlackRock, State Street, and Vanguard indirectly through Pfizer, Moderna, AstraZeneca, Lilly, Merck. Astro, all these different ones.
Mhm.
You have to submit to them putting their chemicals in you
Mhm.
to go serve your country,
Mhm.
and they're saying, "Oh, it's what do they call it? Mission. It's mission readiness."
Huh.
Are you kidding me? I mean, and then the same.
Mission Obvious is much better.
Yes, yeah, and then the doctors that I argue with, who are they believe it. They have been indoctrinated so much,
They have been.
and they believe it to their core.
Well, they're told that from childhood that you need it.
And then it's
Their
reinforced
parents are
in
getting
school.
The shots.
Yep.
Everybody's getting the shots. You know,
Mhm.
everybody's doing the same thing.
Everybody's doing it. Everybody's wearing the mask.
Yeah.
What do you have against the mask, Larry? I got it all.
Oh,
I've heard it all.
I had a problem with the mask.
But think about if you didn't have a problem with the mask, you need an awakening in your life. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
No matter who you are, if you didn't have a problem with the mask, if you didn't have a problem with the 6-foot social distancing, if you didn't have a problem with the lockdowns, the shutdowns, the stay-at-home orders, if you didn't have a problem with that, you have got to wake up.
And if you didn't have a problem with the talk about vaccine mandates,
Oh, jeez.
that's the main thing. If you didn't have a problem with that, then
Hey, that
you do
is-
need to wake up.
And that's chemically,
Because anytime the government starts stomping on our rights and telling us that we don't have the right to refuse medicine, that's a scary thought.
well, they
Because
carry it
what's
over
next?
into
What would be
everything.
next?
Yes, it's carried over into everything.
That was an experiment.
Oh,
So they did it with fluoride. They
And they-
convinced everybody you need fluoride to be healthy.
Yep.
Then they tried to do it with the COVID vaccines.
Well,
If
prior to that,
if you
they
don't get the
did it with
COVID, if you don't get the vaccine, you're going to get COVID and die. It's kind of like what they were.
1986. They come out with a
And
vaccine.
if you don't get the COVID shot, you're not a good person because you're a terrible neighbor because you're going to spread it to your neighbor. That's I just want to.
And if you don't get it,
Mhm.
the COVID's going to get you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
And
all
you're going to
fair.
spread it, and you're going to spread it to your
Yeah.
grandma.
Yes, and you're going to kill me, Ma. If
So
you don't
so
get
be
it.
a virtuous person.
Yes.
Get the free shot.
And magically,
No thanks.
magically, it's going to make a group of people a lot of money if you get it.
Oh yeah.
And if you don't get it, because they had a whole bunch of shots at
Well,
once.
wait a minute. No, because it was free.
That's what I mean.
How-
Whether you
Now, how
whether
do
you
make
got
money?
it or not,
How
they
did
already our government already paid for it at that point. So they were.
You know, I'm facetiously asking.
I know.
Wait a minute. How are they making money if it's free?
That's funny because
It was free.
I did an interview outside of Academy. I walked out. There was this guy with this long hair where you couldn't look like Cousin It. Could
Yeah.
not see his face.
Right.
And I asked him, I said, hey, did you get the COVID shots? And he goes, yeah. Well, I found out, I said, oh, you're Australian. He said, well, I'm a U.S. citizen now. So I said, oh, Australian American.
Yeah. That's
So he goes, I said, do you think it has something to do with the money? You know, the COVID shots and all that propaganda?
He
He
said
goes,
no, it's free.
He said, how can it have anything to do with money?
It's
He said, I got them and they were at no charge.
right.
And
Yeah.
I said,
No
do
money
you think
involved.
I said, do you think the government just makes it out of thin air? And when I look back on the video, I was like, they do.
Yeah. Right.
They do.
Yeah.
I was so wrong. but to take it back real quick, the mental and physical fortitude of these young males has collapsed.
Right.
And whenever I say, and I've done this
It's
in my
probably because
interviews,
of the immunizations, but it's cumulative.
when they
It's
when
the
they
four
hit a
factors that you said.
whenever they're going along on a mission and they hit a brick wall, they
Yeah.
sit down.
Mhm.
There's no going over it, around it, or under it. They just sit down.
Right.
Not all,
Mhm.
but I would say 95% easily.
Mm-hmm.
And every time I ask these kids in my gym, and that's the other thing too, I have kids in my gym of all skin colors. I'm not even getting any races, just skin colors,
Yeah.
all colors.
Right.
And I do my interviews the same way.
Mhm.
And I had a black kid and a white kid, both of them friends. And I asked them both the same question. And the black kid, they're both 21 too.
Mhm.
Good friends, both of them semi strong.
Yeah.
They just started. And I said, what do you think the percentage of U.S. males, 15 to 40, that are physically and mentally weak? And the black kid said 90%.
Are
The
we?
white kid said 70%.
Wow.
And I turned back to the black kid. I said, you know what that tells you? You said 90. You know what that tells me about you? And I got it recorded. I got my video camera going. And he goes, what? I said, it tells me that you're very observant. I said, most say 70. And 70% is a real problem. I said, but you're closer at 90 to being correct.
That's a lot. That's a
And
huge percentage.
That's huge.
It's almost everybody.
And that's because he's observing it.
Right.
And that's what I said. The government and their corporate cronies.
Mhm.
It's public-private partnerships now.
Mhm.
Quentin Studer, all of them are in it. Oh, this is our public-private partnerships. It's the government. We got to go together. So what they do is they with that they've created equality.
Mhm.
They're all equally weak.
Gosh.
We finally got equality across the board.
Mm.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
And it's sad because I'm
I mean,
for strong men.
we are
of
all created equal, and we all have the same. What's the word I'm looking for? Advantages to
opportunities.
opportunities. Thank you.
We're supposed to have the same opportunities.
Yeah.
We're not all
Because
created
we-
equal.
we
We're not
are-
created equal. That's a myth.
Mhm.
I hate to disagree with you, but it's a myth. Everybody's created in their in their own,
And there's a struggle to survive.
and there's a struggle. And
But when I say we're created equal, I don't really literally mean that. I mean that
Yes.
in a sense that we all have the same opportunity.
Opportunity.
Yes.
And that's what I'm about is
Mhm.
opportunity.
Mhm.
The more opportunities
Mhm.
that we give our children and our grandchildren, in
if you
this
have-
case,
And if you have the energy, which most men do, I mean, they still have energy. I mean, it might be down
it's
from what it
plummeted.
was,
Yes.
but if they can watch what they eat, if they can not to get the immunizations, if they can drink pure filtered
Yep.
water,
Yes.
they've got a better chance.
And if they will fast,
And
you need to fast for 3
but
days at
you
a time.
have to focus your energy on something positive.
Yes.
You can't just let them play video games all day.
Yep. Yeah. And I focus on this because I think it matters.
Mhm.
The vaccines, the food, the air, the water. I
Absolutely.
think all that matters so much that if we don't make a turnaround, you can't have 5 tradesmen die or retire and only have 2 replacements.
Mhm.
We're in trouble. That's the numbers that are current.
Right.
So you go ahead.
Well, I so appreciate you coming on. We could talk all day. I mean, we talked for an hour before we even started the show.
Yes.
So, and we could talk for 5 more hours, I'm sure. And we're about to go to some meetings, so
Yep.
probably we'll do some more talking.
Yes.
So,
I'm ready.
it's always fun having you on. It's always fun seeing you.
Thank you.
I always learn something, but we agree on so many
Yes.
things. It's just incredible. So
Well, thank you for having me.
you're a great friend. I love having you around. So thank you.
Absolutely.
The Thornton Review is on the air to provide public service awareness and intellectual infrastructure to our community. This show is made possible by Ida Gates Godly Teas LLC, Alpha Fence Company, and our guest Larry Downs Jr., Larry Downs Plumbing,
Larry Downs Jr. Plumbing.
Larry Downs Jr. Plumbing, and missionobvious.com.
Yes,
Love
perfect.
So we want to thank you for watching this episode of the Thornton Review. Bye-bye.